they want to be writers. They have a notebook and they write their own stories. And I think
the more I know you personally, the more I see your kids in the book. And I know that's what they're probably seeing.
And that's very sad, but it's very truthful. So it's very important that parents read to their kids first, second, third grade, and that the kids see themselves in the books, in the stories.
Yeah, 5% of incarcerated adults fall into the lowest literacy categories.
Oh my God, that is.
Hi everyone, my name is Luz Maria Mack. I'm a Dominican children's book author, and welcome to The Missing Book. The Missing Book is a podcast created by not only uplifting the writers, the communities, the people that inspire us to create these great literary works, but it's literally what's missing in our world. The books that really talk about our culture, our language, our community. And with us today, I have my friend, my editor, the person I bother the most when I have a story, Miss Carisa. Yay!
Thank you so much, Liz, for having me. I'm very excited about this project, and I feel like more people like you, like our voices need to be heard. So I'm very grateful that you're doing this for our community.
Thank you. I'm doing it because over, I want to say 3 to 4 years ago, I was working with someone and creating a documentary, and it was going to be called The Missing Book. And years later, for different reasons, I'm not going to get into it, it didn't happen. And I actually addressed it in another episode, a couple of episodes. Since it didn't happen, the story still was there. And I had invited a lot of authors to speak on this, people that were traditionally published, self-published, booksellers, book vendors. And everyone was so hopeful about this, and it didn't happen. And this past the couple of weekends for the Dominican Writers Conference, I actually interviewed a father who was interviewed on the documentary, who told me, I was so excited about that doc. You should do it still. And I'm like, I have some news for you. I invested, and this idea has not left my heart. So we're going to do a podcast.
What happened to it? Like what?
I'll just say that the person that I had partnered with at the time did not, like, after they taped it, it just didn't work out. I'll tell you more about it, but like, okay, just out of respect for them, you know, and myself, we bowed out.
Okay.
But the person that I interview, I can't remember the gentleman's name. He's amazing. He's a writer. He's a dad. He's Dominican as well. He was telling me, I can't wait to see the podcast because I know if you do this, you're going to do it well. And I started laughing because I was like, are you sure about that? You know, that little voice of self-doubt, it always, like, it's always there. So here I am doing it messy, not all the answers. We don't have a sponsor. The sponsor is my family. I wanted to have guests, and I wanted my guests to have snacks. They have snacks. We are in this beautiful location, and I have you.
I guess it's all working out because you are magnificent, and that guy was right. You always do what's best, and I'm pretty sure this is going to come out like wonderful. And yeah, I love your stories. I love everything that you do. You're very innovative. You look at the world in a different lens, and I really enjoy that. So I'm pretty sure that whatever you're doing with every other writer is gonna be awesome.
So since this episode is about you, Carisa, I want you to tell us who you are, what you wrote, and how can we support you, and also talk about you and everything that kind of like shapes who you have been as a mother, a writer, an educator.
So my name is Carisa Musialik. I'm your friend. I am a writer, an editor, a poet. I am also a teacher and a mom of 2. What inspired me to write my book, The Missing Book, I felt like my book was a missing book. I thought about we're always talking about kids and seeing themselves represented in books, right?
Yes.
How important that is. So I was thinking about that, and I was like, well, the kids in my hometown do not have a book that represents them.
Malverde.
Valverde Mao.
Yes. Valverde
I'm from
Mao.
Valverde Mao, Dominican Republic, and it is a very like rural area. We have a lot of rice, we have a lot of banana. We export it from there, and then we have a lot of cows. So then I was like, do we have a book like that? Do we have a book that looks like their homes, like made out of, a lot of the houses are still made out of wood, so, and colorful. And I was like, well, I want to capture that. I want to give them a story that they can see themselves in. And then that's when I actually talked to you.
Yes.
We talked about like what it meant to be self-published, what it meant to like be published by a big company or small press. And yeah, through that whole process, I learned so much. We have had a lot of conversations about that. Sometimes it's better to self-publish. Sometimes the world out there is not like what we think we're going to get from a publisher. It's not what we get. So like, it's important to create community and talk to people about your projects because then they can guide you. And I'm thankful and grateful for it, for that. Like, you helped me. I remember one of your workshops too. I took it.
Yeah.
And now I learn more. Like I know more about like how to get a freelancer to help me illustrate and things like that.
How to guide them.
Yes, how to guide them, how important it is that you give them your vision. For this book, though, I picked Taina Almodovar. She's also a Dominican illustrator, and I let her
guide you.
Yeah, go with your imagination, girl.
But you know what? That is something I didn't teach everyone, and I'll tell you why. Because Taina is a skilled illustrator. So sometimes you need to be guided by the skilled illustrator. And she has years of experience. But when you are writing your first book, you need to guide the illustrator. But most illustrators that you get for your first book, they might not be a Taina.
Yes.
They're learning too.
Yes, yes.
That's the truth.
Yes. So like my sons wrote a book called The Perfect Pet Day. And I used the exact technique that you told me. I went and I even withdrew what we wanted on paper, and we guided the illustrator, and that's why we got it. Like
and the words,
even the color,
illustrations.
yes, like even the color of the skin.
Yes, matters.
The texture of the hair.
Mm-hmm.
Like here for Taina, the only thing I said is I want you to illustrate this story based on my hometown.
Yes.
And I want the people to look a certain way. I want them to look like me. Well, you know, what does it mean to be Dominican? Like, what does a Dominican look like? We have Dominicans with red hair, too. Like, we have Chinese Dominicans, Japanese Dominicans. So that's one thing. Like, I let her go with her imagination. I said, well, I want people in the book that look like me, that look like they might be from my hometown. So, like, the characters of the book have all different types of, like, skin color.
Yeah.
Also hair texture.
Yeah.
Because she was aware of that. Like, I wanted to include as many Dominicans as possible, keeping in mind the people from my hometown, because that's what I wanted. I wanted those kids to see themselves. And she did a very good job.
Yeah.
I am very happy.
Can we get to hear it now?
Yes.
Can you read it?
Do you want me to read the English or the Spanish version? I wrote it in Spanish originally.
It's fine. We could take whichever one you feel more comfortable, because I think the Spanish one, like I love it more in Spanish too.
Okay.
So I will welcome that.
Okay, so my book is called A Dormir, Soñar. And it's a story about two boys going to sleep. It was inspired by my own kids. So I dedicated to them, but also to the children of Valverde Mao. Yeah, so as you can see, like, they're like...
That's my favorite part,
trees.
by the way. Like the little banana tree and then...
The little cow.
The little cow.
And then in the front, you can see that this is rice. So she took that in mind, that we're surrounded by rice and the little houses, las casitas de colores. So I really love that she kept that for me. So this is dedicated to mi familia y a los niños de Valverde Mao. And Taina dedicated to los Alejandros de su vida, Alejandro Mayanares y Alejandro Martínez. La hora del descanso acaba de llegar. Y todos en el pueblo se aprestan a soñar. Max y Alejandro a prepararse van, corren hacia el baño a cepillar los dientes y su cara a lavar. Max lo hace con mucho vigor. Luego ayuda a su hermano a cumplir su labor. Apagan las luces, a la alcoba van, entran en sus camas a finalmente descansar. Mas de repente se escucha un ruido. El llanto de Alejandro deja a todos sorprendidos. ¿Qué te pasa, chiquito? Pregunta su mamá. No quiero dormir, quiero correr y jugar. Alejandro, mañana es otro día. Para correr y jugar necesitamos energía. Y con un abrazo de su hermano y un beso de sus papás, Alejandro dice buenas noches, cierra sus ojos y se va a soñar. And that's just the end of it. But you see, like she put Alejandro flying in a little cow, like dreaming about the cows. Because also in the illustration, she puts a little cow like looking inside of the house. So
That's so sweet. I have to admit, when I first saw this story, I thought this is the perfect bedtime book. Because which kid wants to go to sleep when it's bedtime? None of them.
yes,
And you capture the restlessness of a child who doesn't want to go to sleep and the other one who wants to follow orders. There's
Yes.
always one that's like, okay, or maybe they're tired themselves, you know? So I really love that because I have 3 kids, you have 2. They're all very different. One is el tóxico, like you call it, and one is a sweetheart, right? And I know one of yours is el tóxico and the other one is the sweetheart. And I just love it because you capture them so beautifully. And I think the more I know you personally, the more I see your kids in the book. And I know that's what they're probably seeing. Mommy wrote a story about us. How did the kids respond to it?
oh, they loved it. They loved it. They took it to school. They were showing it to their friends. They read it for me. And then they want to be writers.
They do.
They do. They read a lot because at home also that's a rule. We read 20 minutes every day. It increases with time. Like the older they get, the more time they have to read. But like after that, my kids we're talking about getting a pet. And then they started like, we should get this, we should get that. And then we were like, oh, this should be a story.
I read that story. That was, I have to admit, that one is also one of my favorite stories that you wrote.
No, they wrote it. I just transcribed it for them. They were telling me the ideas.
But go ahead, say a little bit about it.
So we were trying to get a pet, and they were telling me like which pet we'll get, and I will give them reasons not to get it. Like they were like, we should get a dog, and I'm like, no, because the neighbors are gonna complain. Also, we have to do this and that. And then they were like, they know I'm afraid of snakes, and then like jokingly they were like, we should get a snake. And then I'm like, no, I'm afraid of snakes. We should get a cat. And then I'm like, no, I'm allergic. So when they were saying it, it was even rhyming. And I'm like, oh my God, guys, let's write this down.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, and we should put this and we should put that. And then the illustrator for that book is not as seasoned as Taina is. So with
see the
her,
difference?
with her, we did guide her. Like I asked my kids, like, we're going to do the storyboard.
Yeah.
So she could follow along. I also gave her like a background story of like what we wanted. My son was like, well, at the end we wanted it to they end up with a turtle because they also love the Ninja Turtle. So in the book, they're like, we should end it with like, we're going to get a turtle because they're quiet. So they're giving like reasons why they will get it. And at the end, they were like, can we get it in real life? I'm like, no. But then my son was like, I want to have green hair like the turtle. So we told the illustrator, like, can you make one of the boys have green hair? Because he wanted to see himself in the book. So it goes all back to that. I guess it works. Once you see yourself in the book, you might be like, I can do that too.
But now they're writing.
Yes.
They're writing a lot of stories. And I looked up some facts for you because you are an educator, and we talked about representation so much and why it means a lot. And I was sharing this fact yesterday, well, actually, in another episode and it was actually with Roxana, the illiteracy rate, because she was like, we were talking about most adults cannot read at a 6th grade level. And if that's adults, imagine kids, because kids are not reading at their level. But this is the fact I wanted to share with you so you could see why it's so it's basically give me a second, I'm getting this for you. I wrote it down. I'm sorry. I should have
okay.
a little
That's okay.
bit, but this is the thing. The hidden consequences of illiteracy. 43% of adults with the lowest literacy skills live in poverty. 50% of chronically unemployed adults are functionally illiterate. And then if we're talking about the adults, remember, these kids grow up to be adults. So the reason why these kids are mimicking that is because they're not seeing adults read to them. So they become disengaged from school, they face suspension, they drop out. And this is why there's a clear pathway. If there's a low literacy rate in the household and then the child, it's a pathway to becoming incarcerated adults. Approximately 75% of incarcerated adults fall into the lowest literacy categories.
Oh my God, that is.
These are actual facts. And this was by Literacy New York. And then when we think about why literacy matters beyond academics, economic mobility, mental health, cultural identity, which we talk a lot about, family stability, public safety, and civic participation. And one of the reasons I wanted to share these facts with you, I wrote it down, was because we talk a lot about it, but we know it because we're so engaged with our children, but you see it in schools every day. Can you talk a little bit about how you see it in schools?
Well, I'm a high school teacher, and we see it now like more often than before. I think it has to be like the result of the pandemic. Like a lot of kids were at home, and maybe parents were working.
Yes.
And they also, because they were at home at the beginning, they might have fallen behind. Like, after third grade, if you're behind,
if you're
reading,
already behind, you're going to be
by
even
third
more
grade,
so.
yes, you're always going to have to try to catch up. And that's very sad, but it's very truthful. So it's very important that parents read to their kids first, second, third grade, and that they ingrain in the kids the habit of reading by then. If you have a third grade level, you can read, but then you need to keep building on.
Yes.
With time.
So do you consider audiobooks or video books a perfect tool for those who are learning to read?
Yes. Yes, because at least they're getting the information. And also, we are living in a fast-paced world. Sometimes we don't have time to sit down. So, for example, when I'm walking around with my AirPods, I'm listening to a book.
I am doing the same.
It's not that I'm listening to music. I say that to my students too, and they're like, you listen? And I'm like, yeah, you can also listen as well, because listening also will increment your vocabulary level, your analytical skills, because you also have to think when you're listening. It's not like you're there
together.
nothing.
Yeah.
So they're like, and then I'm like, yeah, you can do that as well. But the saddest thing is that we have kids at high school level that do not know how to read.
I know that.
And the biggest problem, or my biggest challenges,
as
an educator, is they're not books to teach young adults how to read. So you have to go to baby books.
So are we talking about decodables or baby books? And decodables is the books that help teach kids how to read. Is like See Spot Run, The Cat Sleeps, simple sentences.
Yes.
Now.
Well, for English, some of them don't even know the sight words. So that's a problem. But because I teach Spanish, we don't have sight words. We can decode.
Yeah.
Right? That our language is based, it's like that. We can decode by the syllables. The sounds do not change. So we don't have material to teach these kids. And then when I give them material, they're like baby stuff. So I have to constantly rewriting things to get them more interested. And then I wonder if there is no material for them, there is no level A, level B, level C for young adults. So then they get disengaged because they're like, this is not for me. Also, because they don't know, they don't want their peers to know either. Yeah. So then they're going to be behind always, because I had one case with one kid that I had 4 kids that didn't know how to read, and I wanted them to be together, after school.
So they can support each other.
Yeah. So when I teach them something, they can read to each other instead of relying only on me. They can rely on each other. He would not go to the sections because he was so embarrassed. And then he was just falling more behind because you need to, in order to like learn how to decode and things, you have to practice. So imagine like if you don't know how to decode, if you don't know the simpleness of reading, like a couple of words, and let's talk about analysis. You can't do that. You can do that because you don't know what you have in front of you.
Yes.
So they're falling behind, and I don't know. Like I hope that with AI things can change quickly, right? Because also the love of reading, like you said, has to come from home. If nobody's at home reading and modeling, then they're not gonna see it. At school we do it, but they might get disengaged because maybe the reading level is too high. And then on top of that, the reading level is high, and then I'm learning content.
Yes.
So it's harder.
Yes.
It's harder. So it's harder. And I don't know. I'm hoping that, and then when they go home, the parents are not there. So then what happens then with that child?
Yeah.
Perhaps AI in the future can solve that. I don't know. Like they have those like iReady and things like that. But then again, for the young adult, there is nothing.
I do think like
nothing that I'm aware of.
That is true. But to be honest, the reasons I'm mentioning these challenges, because you are a writer, you are an educator, you are a mother. You created some tools for your own kids. And as an educator, I mean, I follow you. We've been friends for a long time. I annoy you for a long time. You invest in your kids. Your kids are having these wonderful experiences that they're always naturally curious children. And I think that's what sets a child apart, having parents that are pushing them forward, going forward, doing their things. I have been blessed with my husband and his family and my own family that push our kids forward. But there are a lot of kids that don't have someone pushing them forward. So we're relying on the schools to do that, or other nonprofits or grassroots organizations doing that. For kids that are learning on their own, I don't know if AI is the only solution, but what I do know is that you have literacy individuals that are creating books that feel culturally relevant, that are still not being brought to the school systems.
Yeah.
That could be a tool, and it's always overlooked as a tool.
Yeah, because if things are not working at home, then you need community.
You need community. And what's the community that we're going to rely on?
People like you and I guess, to come in, but is it hard to come in?
Yeah.
And read to them? It is very hard because also you have to have a job. You have a job, and also then you dedicate your time. I know you do that too. You do go to the schools and read and inspire them. And I know that they write you little notes telling you how much they like it. So like even you being there, I guess, is one step. Like how to move it forward and make it increment faster. I have no idea.
I will tell you this, and this is my hope, because I always say, to build a community, it's not just me. It's not just you. It is us sharing our story over and over again. So accessibility is key.
Accessibility is key.
So accessibility is key because books are expensive. And most families or most kids that don't have an adult that have the financial luxury of buying a book every week, or the libraries are not closed, I always recommend students and even families, YouTube. You can find a bunch of book videos for free. And I keep saying YouTube, because even my book videos I have put on YouTube. Do you know, last year, I reached out to every school in New York City School District offering my book videos for free. Please use these as a tools. Can you guess what was the response rate?
5%?
Yes, it was under 5%.
Oh,
you're
wow.
correct.
Oh, wow.
And that says a lot. And I don't want, also, it's not a fact because most teachers are busy doing the thing they have to do, which is teach or like preparing for a next lecture or things like that. But how do we reach these schools or these community leaders that know that there's free tools that the kids could be tapping into, because our public school educations have a lack of resources?
They do, and like with the budget cuts, it's even getting harder and harder.
It's even getting harder and harder, and that's something you see. But you as a writer, you're creating books, you're helping your kids tell stories. You yourself are telling stories. I think you have another book in you that you have not published, if I remember.
I do.
And I know you were hoping I forgot. What was the name of the book and why do you want me to forget about it? Because if I'm like a teacher, I'm gonna like the sad thing is that I'm not an educator. And you are always shocked by that. But you have a book that you don't want to release. And why is that?
Well, I don't know. Well, I guess people. I guess people have fears. I don't know. It's called El Jardín de Valentina, Valentina's Garden, and it's about a little girl in the Dominican Republic that tries to. So it's a science book. It's about like how plants grow. So she tries to like grow a seed, and then it goes through the journey of her like trying
Different
to grow
things?
different things to make it grow faster. And yeah, so she like even plays music. Like I don't know if you heard that there is research like plants, if you put music to plants, they grow
Oh,
faster.
you talk to them.
Yeah, or you talk to them.
Yeah.
So she talks to them. She reads. Ella saca una tamborita y le pone a tocar. She dances with them to make it grow faster. So it's a really cute book. I don't know why I haven't published it.
So I can't believe I wanted to set you up like this. I still want to see Valentina's Garden happen. And I told you, and I don't know if you remember, this conversation we had like over 5 years ago.
Yes.
It was over 5 years ago.
Yes.
And as a Scorpio, I have a horrible memory for everything else except things that matter, like things that matter to you. And I know that story matters. And I told you, when I was little, I have a fond memory of my grandmother, que ella cogía una olla, like she took a huge bowl, put milk and water, and used to clean the leaves, like the big green trees that she had in front of her house. She used to clean it with water and milk.
Oh, I never heard of that.
And I was like, I don't know why she used to water down milk, but the tree looked so like beautifully lush. And it was like the plants with the big leaves. So it used to be like green and speckled with yellow. And then after she cleaned it and talked to it, that leaf would stand even taller. In my mind, as a child, I still remember that tree will like, just pick itself up head high and everything. And I would say like, wow, like I don't remember what I told my grandmother, but that memory never went away. And Valentina's story reminded me of my grandmother. So I thank you for that memory, because I feel like books unlock memories, unlocks a lot of traditions, and also talks about culture and talks about like things that we need to learn in and outside of the home. But I do hope and I pray that you write that story.
Thank you. You should write that story about the leaf.
Oh,
because maybe because maybe we'll learn something new. Like with my kids, we were reading something. Well, and I was doing that about the plant. My kid had a science project, and actually we did that. We talked to the plants. We got 4 plants.
And one of them,
and we did 3 plants. Actually, we did an experiment, and it was one that we would say like mean things like, "You're not looking so good today."
Oh,
I know we said sorry at the end. Okay?
You said sorry
at the end of the project. We said sorry, but we did. I was talking about like the power of words, right?
Yeah.
What you say to people matter. Like my kids were able to correlate it. Like it's about guiding them. So when they did the project, we did one talking horrible to it, another one we will praise it and say, "Oh my God, the world is so much. There's so much joy."
You're such an excellent mother. I never did that to my kids. They call me the plant killer. Y'all forget to water them. But I'm really good at buying flowers and putting it on the table. Look at the flowers.
Well, we did it because it was their science project for their school.
Oh, yeah.
We were like, we want to see if it's true. And then the correlation that the kids made was amazing. Like, what you say to people matter.
Yeah.
It's the same thing to the plant. The plant started looking sad. The poor plant started to look brown.
Oh.
The leaves were falling off. So it is true.
What kind of plant was it?
We had like a ivy something.
But were they all 4 plants were the same?
The same height, about the same day.
And
we measured the
one
water.
grew more than the other.
One grew more. So there was one neutral, one we said horrible things to, and then we would say nice things to them. And then think about like how we talk to our children, right? If you constantly are like reprimanding a kid, what would it do to their soul? I think that's exactly the same thing that happened to the plant.
Me and you had this conversation, and I think this is a perfect segue, because I think I grew up in a tough environment, and we talked about that. And I remember I loved the way you spoke. I mean, like, you just have something about you that was very nurturing, very like thing. I don't want to say I grew up in a tough environment as a like a mean thing, because beautiful things happen in tough environments too,
Yes.
because I am who I
Look
am.
at you now.
Exactly. But something you said, that was love too. And I never forgot it, because you said, imagine how they grew up.
Yes. Sometimes we forget our parents' stories. Like, it's easy to see their behavior, and now that we know better,
Yeah.
we can put a name to it, right? But maybe they grew up like that, and that was their story, right?
Yeah.
And then the pattern continues, and then our job is to stop it.
Yes.
Like, I didn't have anybody to read to me, but I
Yeah.
read to my kids every day.
My mom, she loves to read, but she reads a lot of like religious, thematic religious books. But she did tell stories, and I always fell in love when she told stories. But I think also being Dominican,
We're great storytellers.
we're great storytellers. I mean, like, even the guys, when they're hitting on women, it's like a story.
Yes, yes.
Se te cayó una raya, ven, que te la busco.
And the little kids, when you see them telling their story, like, I'm so amazed, like, so charismatic. I wrote a short story actually about something like that, because I was writing about like a town where like things don't move forward.
Why?
Because people don't read, right?
And that was the theme of the
story.
story. Thank you.
And it's an outsider that comes back into the environment, and like, but then there's a reflection that I make, and it's in the story, and it's like, even though they don't read, there is a lot of charisma here. Like, the character is amazed. She's like, what will happen if they read more, if they learn more? What will happen then?
Oh, that reminds me of the book. Like, I'm not. Well, it was a book turned into a movie about like all the books were being burnt. And I forgot who was the actor. But it was because people were trying to not read any books, and they were being burnt. And then the guy accidentally picks up a book and starts looking at it, learning to read and looking at that. And then all of a sudden he's being like crucified for reading books. But it's the same thing, the same thought. Like, he had no idea what he was missing out because he didn't read the book.
Mm-hmm. And it's about access to knowledge. Like, now that you know better, you do better.
Yes.
If you're not exposed to all those things, then what happens then? Then you get stuck.
I think there's a danger, and this is something I realized, and I realized it. I didn't realize it at such an early age, but I realized it when I started meeting other friends from different communities that are not Dominican. But there's a danger when you stay too much in the same community. You don't learn different things from different people. So I always say you have to meet at least 50 new people every month. And people are like,
50.
50.
Do you reach your goal? Do you meet?
Not necessarily, but I pitch so much. Like, I pitch to share my work to others so much that by the end of the year, I have met more than 100 people.
That's good.
And that's how I learn new things. But if we're not learning about new things, we stay stuck.
Yes. And then that's where books come in.
And that's
Like,
where books come in.
Yeah.
If you struggle, and a lot of people are like, oh, but you meeting people comes so not at all. After I meet people and talk for hours, then I pass out. I need to take a nap. But you are the same. And I seen that in you because you travel so much.
I love to travel. That's like my thing. I love to travel. But then I read a lot about like where I'm going.
Yeah.
So like, you don't have to like fiction or like nonfiction. You just need to find your thing.
What is your thing?
Right now, it changes.
I know it changes.
Because I don't consider myself as like one thing. Every year I'm changing. And also, like, you talk about like meeting people. So when you meet someone, you kind of change. Because then you see the world through another lens. And the books that you read give you a different lens as well.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just reading about like spiritual stuff.
I've been reading a lot of mangas lately. And
Manga.
I think, yeah, Webtoon, Manta, I forgot what's the other platform. Reading a lot of anime because my son is into it, and I
My
want to
sons, I love it.
and I want to learn to kind of write to those things. But I also learned a lot of those webtoons, mantas, and anime, they also teach, some of them are heavyweight culture, but I didn't know most of them start as self-published writers.
Oh, wow.
And some of them have like within the millions of subscribers to their stories. And that was to me like interesting. And my son he loves Japanese, Korean, and Filipino food and culture and things like that. So I've been learning a lot. And since my dad is half Chinese and we're half Chinese, half Dominican, it's something that I feel like I'm going back to, like learning so much from it. And
That is so cool.
and one of my new stories that is still not out yet is called I See Love. It's an homage to my cousin, Mei Ling Wong. And the homage is because she is visually impaired. And the reason why it's called I See Love, because it's through her daughter's eyes that she's seeing other ways how love is beyond sight.
And see, this is why I'm telling you, you're so talented. You see the world in a different way. I love that story.
I don't want to say I see the world in a different way. I think I just sit down and just look at what's going around me a little bit. Sometimes I shut my eyes because, I mean, right now, look at the world. It's in like complete chaos. There's so much need in different aspects.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to tell other stories, and I know you do too. So while you're learning about different people, communities, and organization, what are the new stories you want to tell?
I don't know. I have an idea.
Oh,
I have an idea.
will Valentina come out and then you tell the story?
Maybe because this one is not for a children's book. I want it to be an adult.
Oh, so we're growing up.
Yeah, but it's something interesting. It's something crazy.
You said it.
I
with
mean,
hesitation.
I haven't even told. Like, I told my mentor, and I was like, "This is gonna sound crazy."
Have a mentor?
Yeah.
That's
Well, I made her my mentor. I don't know if she even knows, but every time I have a question, I go to her.
okay.
Yeah. So I ask her, because since I'm reading about spiritual stuff, for me it's like so interesting because there are many phenomena throughout the world that repeat themselves. So like, for example, cuando la gente se monta, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's like, what is that? And then you have people in the Philippines que se montan. And then you have people in South America and they never cross paths. So then I'm like,
but it's the same
why
thing.
is that? And then even in church, people might.
Yeah, they say that
The Holy Spirit, when the Holy Spirit comes on you,
and
it's the Spirit that comes in.
And you're speaking in tongues.
Yes, or when you get certain religions. So then I'm like, speaking in tongues, people have San Miguel, or people have this, and then I'm like, why is that? And then I'm like, you know what? I want to write about that. I want to interview people. I never told anyone this, so I guess everybody's going to know now. But what I wanted to do was interview people and to tell me their stories, because how many stories of like santeros do you know? So then I was like, maybe I'll write about like my own quest with spirituality and what it means to me, like what am I searching for? Because I constantly feel like I'm looking for something that I don't know what it is. So I read a lot about like different things. Like there was one time I had a dream about a snake and somebody threw it on my chest. And I woke up, I'm afraid of snakes.
I'm afraid of snakes and alligators. And I had a dream. I was sleeping inside an alligator's mouth, or I can't remember if it was me or someone else. It was like I was seeing myself outside myself. And then the alligator was like just swimming around and slowly closing its mouth. And then at one point it snaps and all you see is blood. And that scared the hell out of me. But I remember someone said, oh, you dream about your spiritual death or something like that. And I was like, oh, wow. So I know what you're saying. Like we're searching for meaning.
Even that, like dreams.
We're searching the meaning of what things mean and how it relates to us.
Yes. Like even dreams, that whole world is like so interesting to me, because what are dreams? Are they...
Well, your dream started with this.
Yes. Yes. So like I would like to write a book about that, like the search of whatever it is that I'm looking for, and like how people find it in different ways, spiritually.
There's a book that I'll recommend you to read. I think it's called The Man That Moves Clouds.
Mm.
And The Man Who Moves Clouds. I think that's the name. I'm trying to, because the man who can move Clouds. It's a memoir by Ingrid Rojas Contreras. And she talks about some of the things that you're talking about. But I recommend you to read it because she is also talking from her cultural lens. I forgot from what his Latino America culture she's from, but I think it's kind of dancing around the subject we're talking about, the spirituality, this like,
Yeah. And then
that this magic that exists, just because I think a lot of religion is that, and a lot of people don't like hearing that. But yes, to have faith is almost like magic.
yes. Yes. Well, if I go back to like the snake story, then I started reading about snakes.
What about
So
it?
you see, like the dream, somebody just threw it at me and I felt it and I woke up and I was looking for it. And then I said, I'm going to learn. I asked my aunt, what does it mean? You know, los dominicanos buscamos los numeritos.
Yes.
So I'm like, tía, dígame los números para yo jugarlo. And she was like, no, that dream that you had is not about the numbers. It's about like warning. And I'm like, what?
But what
Like a
kind
warning.
of warning?
And I'm like, what does that even mean? So I started reading. I started looking for snakes in books. And I found this book called The Cosmic Snake. And it talks about what a snake means for different cultures. That the snake is really the guardian of knowledge. Because even before Adam and Eve went to the tree, the snake was guarding that. And before they went in, they didn't know that they were naked or they didn't know shame, right? So when they eat the apple, then they get a certain type of knowledge.
Yes.
And then the guy goes like in different types of like settings and like in different types of cultures, like what does a snake means. So like even one idea can spark and you can go everywhere with that. And for me, it was amazing. Like I learned so much about different cultures. Like a colleague of mine, because I started talking about it, and a colleague of mine was like, do you know that there are countries in Africa that think that the creator is a snake?
Yes.
And then I'm like, what?
It's
I
true.
need to read about
I
that.
was just thinking that. And I think there's a Cinderella story in Africa with the prince is a snake. And I was really amazed. I'm going to find it and send it to you. But I think like the whole purpose of us having this conversation about dreams and your next story and things like that, because there's something to be said. We are seeking knowledge to make sense of the world.
Yes.
And to pass down knowledge. And I think books are the perfect way to interpret this. And because you're still seeking knowledge and you are going to grow up and go away from children's books, I have a hard time growing up and going away from children's books. Because to me, I think a lot of the things that adults struggle with is because we didn't have it as a child.
That is true.
So I feel that. But that's my truth. And I want to know, what do you think kids need more of?
They need more patience and love. Unfortunately, I think the world is going too fast, and there are other things that call our attention as adults. We have to deal with work. We have drama outside of home, right? Like with colleagues or whatever. And then you have to come home and do all these other things that sometimes the kid is the last thing on your mind. Like I know sometimes I come home and I'm like frustrated. But now, like my son pointed that out to me. He's like, I know you have no patience right now because you gave your patience to your student.
You gave your patience to your
student. Yeah, and then he's like, and so that's okay. And then I'm like, no, I work to give them a better life.
Yeah.
So when I go home, I have a ritual that before I enter that door, I say, I came home now. My time is for them. But you know that we have to like tend home and do everything. So I think that that's what they need. And they need more attention. They need more attention. They need more love, more patience. Kids are super smart. They just need very good guidance.
Do you think your books provide that?
I think so. I would like to think that.
Because I see that. Because, again, your kids are the models. I have never seen two brothers be so attuned to their mom and do everything their mom like your kids. And I say that with so much love because I think I learned so much from you. You know, like the basketball, the running around. What is it that you're into now? Let me just, observe what you want to do and do that. And I think I do want you to, I want to give you your flowers for that. There's so many great ways to be parents, but I really love that because look, that was a new thing. I knew your kids told stories because I know like you did a videotape, like on social media about them learning math and them learning this thing. But you guys do that for fun.
Yes.
You don't do that because it's a task. You don't do that. Like me and my kids like to share where we're gonna go eat next. And you do this all the time. But then again, I know they are gonna inherit so much of you.
At the beginning, it's not easy. Like I would say that to every parent. Like at the beginning, it's not gonna be easy. They'd rather be on the tablet. They'd rather be on the tablet than reading at the beginning. But then you just set it up like 20 minutes, or let me read you this story. I buy books with their names on it too. Like we have a Max the Brave. My older son is Maximiliano, and we have a book called Max the Brave, and we read it. And then like to see his name is also like,
it's important.
My name is there. Yeah. So like things like that, and then it was like constantly. It took years to the point that at the beginning they'd rather be on the tablet, but like the teachers would tell me like before they go to recess, they want to read a book.
Yeah.
And then they want to write. And then I see them with the little stories. And there was one time, maybe like a year or two ago, I told them like, we're going to make a list of chores because you need to help me now. What are we going to do? Like, are you taking out the garbage? Are you doing this and that? And then my son was like, how about I write stories for you and you give me 25 cents? Or I write a story for you and instead of doing and helping you with the dishes, I give you a story. And then I'm like, look at that. Like now he knows what I like and he's going to perform for me. And kids are always looking for guidance and they want to connect with their parents.
Yeah,
if we tell them, like, we like to read, we like to do this as a family, because also we do it as a family. Before they go to sleep, we read a book together. Before it was me reading it to them, and they still like me to do it because I make voices and things like that. But then I'm like, now that you know how to read, you are going to read that too.
Yeah, because now you can have a little bit of mommy time, which is the hardest thing to do.
Yes, or like when I'm very tired, I'm like, how about you read to me tonight?
Oh.
And they do it.
I think I passed out in Andrea's bed one time when she read to
me. And they do it. Or like sometimes I'm like, pick the book. And then I'm like, oh my God, this is about fighting. Do you really want to read that before we go to bed? And they're like, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, we want to do that. I'm like, you're probably going to dream about that.
Yeah, yeah.
What about your kids? What do they like to read?
I'm going to be honest now.
Manga.
Oh, manga. Manga's the big one. I still remember Andrea's favorite writers, and she loved to read their books, Elizabeth Acevedo and Jodi Picoult. I've always mixed up her name. But Andrea right now she just finished her sophomore year, and she's really focused on her internship. So I'm excited about that. Chloe, my middle child, she loved Trevor Noah's book. I forgot which other book she was reading, but I remember that one kind of set something on her. But she also wrote a book that we don't talk about a lot, The Cheesy Story, and she drew it herself.
Because I know your son has several books with you.
He has 5, but Chloe had a book called The Cheesy Story, and she did it and followed. And I think part of her, after she showed the book around, I think she got a little shy about it, embarrassed a little. And they all have their own personalities. And my son didn't like doing book readings and now is doing book readings. But remember, he started when he was 7, but honestly, I didn't think they were going to write books, and I never pushed them to do it either. I let them do their thing, and that was it. I also know like they're in schools that sometimes their school has a lot of work on them and it could be demanding. So if they just want to chill, like I was okay with that because, for example, Chloe has a lot of homework and sometimes she doesn't go to bed till much later than a lot of us because she's doing her work. And I was a little embarrassed. There was this one time she was showing me her math stuff and I'm like, oh man, you could take that back. I didn't want her to know I didn't know math, like the way she's learning math. But the way they're teaching kids math
is different.
It's different. And I felt like, oh my God, I have a bachelor's, I have a master's, and I felt this little when she showed me her math work. I was just like that. But you know what is the interesting part about the kids? They all understand publishing through this experience. They understand publishing so much that they understand to be a writer it takes a lot of work. This is not something like you wrote the book and it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, how does that look like for you? Like, you wrote this book, and after you wrote this book, you were shy about sharing it.
I was shy. I was very shy about sharing it. Also, like I was supposed to, I think we were supposed to be together at a panel.
And you said no?
No, you know what happened?
You said no?
One of my cousins passed away.
Oh,
So
that's
then,
right. I'm so sorry.
no, that's okay. But then I was like, I don't want to shine in a moment
Of
where my
grief.
family is going through this.
No,
So
that's true.
sometimes like you have to like pick, and then after like pick what you want to feel at the moment. And at that moment, I picked grief because it felt right.
I think it was right, because I think your family like had gotten together. You guys wanted to do something, but before the passing of your cousin, which, you know, I'm so sorry again for your loss, you were still shy about showing it, because I remember, like, we were
It's a self-doubt. Like you always like,
yeah.
well, is this good enough? And for me, it's like I'm a perfectionist.
I had a self-doubt even doing this podcast. And I told you, like, even before the recording of this, I'm not sure how it's going to come out, but it's going to come out. And I was surprised to hear your self-doubt, comadre, because you're like so good.
Because I'm a perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist.
Know.
I have stories that maybe I revised maybe 5, 10, maybe 20 times. Maybe some of them are not published because I rather keep them. Also, like, I don't write about my personal life.
Yeah.
I only have one story, and it took me a lot to write it, a lot of crying, therapy, all of that, because it was very personal. But sometimes I'm like, I put it together, and then I'm like, is this gonna sound right? What is that gonna look like? Because I write fiction. So I write for my kids, right? Yeah. I wanted this for my town, but also I write short stories for adults and poems. So that's why I'm like, I'm very shy to the point, like, I don't want people to criticize me. And the problem with that is that you always wanna be criticized.
Well, that's
right.
That's something I learned to not think about. And sometimes it's hard. I'm not going to say it's not hard, but the reason I'm so surprised about your shyness, and I still love it, and I welcome your shyness. I want you to know this is not like don't be shy, because that's not true. Be who you are. But it's because I saw you perform your poems in 2 places, and they were beautiful, and you didn't look shy.
No, because my heart is beating. So like now my heart is like
your heart was beating.
So then I talked to a lot of writers as well. Like there was one time I did something for Word Up. It was ¿cómo era que se llamaba? Cuéntamelo todo. And I did it with Julissa.
Yes, Cuéntamelo todo.
So we were writing poems, and we invited a poet. So like every week we'll have a different poet, and they will talk about techniques. And then we invited Marcos de la Fuente, who does Se Buscan Poetas at the Bowery Poetry Club. And he gave advice to the students that were there that I was like, oh my God. He's like, everybody's waiting to clap for you. You don't need to be afraid. And like when you hear that heart beating so fast, it's like your own heart like telling you still have to do it. You need to have courage. Like you're having courage right now. And that's like plausible. Like that's really what gets you to places. That's what makes you a winner. You have to do it even when you're afraid.
I'm so glad you said that, because may you hand me that book?
Yes.
This took courage, my love.
Yes.
Not only it took courage, we talked about the entire process. And I welcome you being shy, but I know how much love you put into this. So everything you do, you touch, we feel it. And remember, you're delaying someone's blessings if you don't take it. But when you do it, you're also, I think Roxana said it best. You guys call it the muse?
Mm-hmm. La musa.
La musa. So if I notice, and maybe me and you are going to relate on this, or maybe not, and it's fine. The inspiration will come, and if you do nothing with it, it will leave. It's almost like the parable of the talents. El que tiene menos, puede tener más, because they're actually doing something with their talent. And I think you have a lot, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you. I was watching the Michael Jackson movie, and I think Michael Jackson said something like that too. In the movie, he said, "I'm waiting for the muse because I need to be ready, otherwise he's gonna give it to Prince."
Oh no, I haven't watched it yet. I want to. There's a lot of controversies. A lot of people say that the movie is really good, or they're not sure if
My
that
kids
was
wanted
good.
to see it. That was their Mother's Day gift to me.
Their Mother's Day gift to.
They wanted to go see it, so I was like, "Okay, we'll go." They really liked it. They really liked it, and I was crying.
Of course, it's Michael.
Seeing his childhood, talking again about like giving the kids love. I was like, maybe it's exaggerated because his dad was hard on him.
But
It was very hard on him. He wanted to play. He wasn't allowed to play. And my kids were like, oh my God, their dad. And I'm like, out of all of that darkness came Michael Jackson because he used to beat him and things like that. But he just like going back to like your parents do the best they think they're doing for you.
yeah, because
is what they're used to. So like him giving him a beating, probably he got beat himself.
yeah,
And he didn't know better. He just knew he wanted that little boy to shine. So it didn't matter to him that he wanted to play. He wanted to show him discipline. And the only way to get his attention was maybe to beat him. And I'm not saying that was okay.
No,
what I'm saying is that he did what he thought was right with what he had.
I think that's the lesson here. Like we all learn from an experience, whether good, whether bad. And I think I've learned so much through our conversation right now about everything you've done for your kids, for your family. I want to know, when people think about reading your books, what is the message that you want them to go away with? What is it that you want them to really think about if they want to write a story? Like, should they think about writing a story, or should they think about involving their family? Because that's what I get from our conversation. Your anchor has been your family, especially your boys.
Yeah. I think everybody should write their own story because we all have something to tell. Like now I'm gonna be waiting for that book about like how your grandmother cleaned the leaf.
Oh my God,
Because yes, because that's interesting and probably she learned it from somewhere, and there has to be something behind it.
There has to be something behind it. I have to admit, that milky water, I still remember, lleno de tierra, and whatever was left over, she would just discard it. But those leaves looked so silky.
So yeah, like I think everybody should write their story, leave like the little imprint. There are different types of readers. Your story doesn't have to be appealing to everyone.
Yes.
But the right person will come to read that, and they probably want to relate to that and feel like they're not alone. So that's what I will say. And to have the courage to publish it or to share it. We're natural storytellers.
We are natural storytellers, but with that in mind, when is your next story going to come?
So now I'm thinking I'm gonna reach out to the illustrator and see about having the Valentina.
Will you self-publish or will you traditionally publish?
I will self-publish that. I like it better. Like I understand now how the market works.
What it takes.
Yes. I have learned that from you.
Yeah.
Because we share not only the good stories, we also share the bad stories and the funny stories. So from like other people's mistakes, like you tell me about your experiences, I'm like, oh no. And perhaps it's best.
And let's be clear, the reason you're choosing to self-publish is because you don't want the story to change. It doesn't mean that traditional publishing is bad, but we know if you're going to traditionally publish, it's not going to be the same story.
Because the publishers care more about making money than the story itself.
Well, it's a little like yes and no.
That's why it goes through. Well,
we're being like a little easy, but you're right. Yes. Like it's a money-making machine.
And they want what they think. But we want to tell our story. So it's about like, what do you want to do with it? You want it to be like the authentic story. I mean, if you're talking about yourself, if it's fiction, then you can play with it.
But remember, El Amoroso Cutico. You were my editor for El Amoroso Cutico. And you're like, I love this story.
I love that story.
You every time you remind me about this story, I pitched it and people were like, ooh, that's like.
I love that story.
El Amoroso Cutico, A Loving Cutico, was a story about, I actually took my cousin's nickname and named the main character Cutico because it was about the pelea de gallos, cockfights. And it was teaching a little boy to be a man. But the truth of the story was, how do we talk about families? How we teach our kids how to pass down love and how to be like this toxic masculinity. So we dance around toxic masculinity. We never say it, but it is.
And that's what I love about it. I love the way that you shaped it. It is a topic that people don't really talk a lot about it.
Yeah.
Because also a book is a segue to talking about a topic, right? Like you read it and you talk about it. Like I love that you talk about cockfights because I never seen a book about cockfights for kids. And then I'm like, oh. And then the way that the kid manages it all too.
Because, so you know why I chose that ending and we never talked about it? Because being a mother, I am growing up with my children, and some of the healing took place with my kids. Now, I want to say that it's hard to think like this because sometimes adults, we're learning individually through therapy or through whatever notions, but many of us get like the big lessons with our kids, and the kids see it too. So I like to think that even as writers, we're telling the story from that authentic place that we're always learning. We're always learning to do better. Well, Carisa, I want to be honest with you. I love that you're here, but most importantly, I love the way you parent. I love the stories you tell. And before we close, is there anything that we should know on how to support you and how to follow you?
Well, my Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram. It's my same name. Actually, no, I changed it.
You changed
it? Yeah, it's now called El Diario de Carisa. And it's because I have bad memory and I want to remember beautiful things that I see every day. So I want my Instagram to be like my diary. That's what I started to do now. Like I write about my process, like what I'm going through during the week or the day, things that I do with my kids. Like now I'm gonna start writing about like my whole process of like El Jardín de Valentina, how is that gonna happen? So I wanna record it to share with the world, but also I want it like as a memoir for myself. That's what I want now. So like you can follow me there. The book is on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and all those stores. I don't have my website now. I have to fix it. So yeah, you can support me like that. And also, I believe in giving back to the community.
Yes.
The library in my town was made by regular civilians. If people like to donate books and things like that, they can always reach out to me because I bring books when I go back home.
And that's beautiful. Well, with that in mind, thank you, Carisa.
Thank you, Luz.